I'm Guntower Mike, and this, as I'm sure you know by now, is Pandora Celeste. Um, Now, we're live on GameFound at the moment. We funded in 32 hours. We're into stretch goal territory, and we've been getting some questions from people about how the solo game works and also how the kind of main core game works. So I thought I'd kill several nasties with one stone and walk you through, just basically play a true solo game um, on the full game board. So what I'm going to do, this isn't one of the teaching scenarios. This is how you would play the game once you've learned how to play it through the teaching scenarios and so forth. So you basically start with the game board laid out, and you're going to pick a couple of emergency protocols and an agenda, and go from there. Usually, there would be a three-dimensional vents insert overlaid on top of the ship. The reason I haven't put it on here is because essentially it exists when you've got lots and lots of players, because you get quite confused about whether you are in the vents or whether you are on the ship. The game board can get a little crowded, and the three dimensionality gives you a much better sense of visibility. Since I'm playing solo, it's fairly easy for me to actually sort of just know where I am. We don't need the sort of added clarity that the three dimensionality gives you. I'm going to play as cargo, the ship's cargo officer, who's very good at using tools. And the only concession that I've made to this as a demo is I've already pre-picked my agenda. So as the smuggler, I'm basically going to try to go to one of these cargo bays, examine these cargo bays. One of these cargo bays has either GM wheat, widgets, or uniforms, and that is my contraband cargo. The only other concession that I'm making to this being a demo game is I want to show off the back of the ship, which basically means that I'm picking one of the emergency protocols which goes with the back of the ship, and that's the power down protocol. The ship's engines are malfunctioning, and I need to go to engine 4, and I need to play an engineering action in engine 4 in order to shut down the power down protocol, because otherwise, in 9 game turns, 9 cycles, it is going to self-destruct the ship, or the ship's going to blow up, basically. So I've got to go from here, which is the cryo chamber, all the way out through the ship like so, and then down to here, where I then get to play an engineering action. And because there's only one player in the game, I only have to play one engineering action, which is just as well, because it's a long way to get there. The other protocol, I don't know what I've drawn, so let's see what I've drawn. We've drawn the aircon protocol. That's going to make life interesting. Okay. The aircon protocol means that I've got to get up into these aircon vents, and I've got to find a blue nasty somewhere in the aircon vents, and I've got to kill that nasty. Because there's only one of me, I only have to kill one nasty, which is fine. But the problem with the aircon vents is while I'm up in the aircon, I'm crawling slowly through the vents rather than running very, very fast to try and get to the other end of the ship. So I've already laid out the ship. I've laid out 1, 2, 3 memory tokens plus 1 for every member of the crew, and they basically go into the rooms that have light bulbs on them here. So they're there, and there is a light bulb. Where's the light bulb there? Yeah, there's a light bulb there as well. Also, at the back of the ship, there is a memory token lying around in engine 2. Those memory tokens are going to be very, very useful to me. They give me extra cards, extra abilities. Also, seeded throughout the ship, you will see a whole bunch of grey tokens. These grey tokens are either tools or little nasties. Tools will be useful to me, little nasties less so. And then there are certain tokens which automatically go in certain places. So I know that there is a multi-tool in the kitchen stores. I know that there's a stun gun locked in the company locker. That red door is a locked door that I have to unlock. I know that there is a fire extinguisher in Secure Locker 2. There's also a couple of other fire extinguishers further on through the ship. And For some reason, which I don't really quite remember, I felt the need to cobble together a flamethrower using bits I found lying around the ship, and I've left it there. I don't know why. I really don't remember anything other than I felt the need for a flamethrower. Okay, this is the big nasty deck. And when I shut down one of these protocols, I am going to flip the top card of this deck, and I have no idea what it is. This deck has got the four big nasties that have already been unlocked, plus the next big nasty that's kind of on the list. Right now, I shuffle my deck. I deal myself a hand of four cards. Four cards because I'm in the cryo chamber and I'm slightly groggy. My hand would usually be five. One last thing. I'm playing True Solo. And when you're playing True Solo, you get one extra memory. So I can basically turn over the remaining chits that have not been spread around the ship, and I can decide which of these I want to take as a card into my hand at the start of the game. This is a tough choice already, right? The four memories that I've got to choose from are how to climb in and out of the aircon, moving and fighting, running very fast through the ship, and dodging, which is always a really, really good defensive thing to have. Oh, oh. There's only one of me. Mind you, I need to get to the other end of the ship. Okay. I may regret this, but I'm going to take run. And the reason I'm going to take run is because there's only one of me and I've got a long ways to go. I need to be able to occasionally just run very, very fast through this ship. So, okay, let's get started. These are the 5 cards that I currently have to play with. Every player turn, I play a card. If there were other players in the game, the turn would then pass on to the next person who plays the card. And each card basically has icons on it, and I basically play the card in order to use the icons to do certain things. There are some very, very useful looking things lying around in the room next to me. So I'm going to play Pick Up and Creep. That allows me to move into this room, turn over these tokens, see what these tokens are, and decide which one of these tokens I want to pick up. And the tokens that I've got here are memory of hiding places in the ship, memory of how to climb in and out of the aircon, and the ship's manual that allows me to bypass certain doors that the ship might have locked down. At the moment, the ship hasn't locked down any doors, so I don't really feel the need for it. I really, really, really would like to climb into the aircon, so I'm going to take that climb into the aircon card, and I basically remove the token, and I take the card and I place it into my hand, not into my deck like most deck builders, but into my hand. And the reason for that is in very, very early playtests, we discovered that if you tried to cycle it through your deck, you didn't survive long enough to actually get to use it. This way, the game is much, much easier, but also survivable. So, that is my first action. If we were playing with other players, actions would then move on to other players, and you take in turn going around the table. As it is, that's my first action. I can now basically do my second action, and I think I really would like a weapon before I try climbing up into the vents. I don't think I need the ship's manual. Because as I say, the ship hasn't really locked down any doors at the moment. And because I'm playing true solo, I have to fulfill my agenda to get the decouples codes to get off the ship. So it's not like I can bypass the decouple codes on the shuttle, for instance, to get off without completing my agenda. So I can ignore that for the moment, I think. And as things currently stand, I don't think hiding places are that important to me. So I'm going to do this. I'm basically going to play move and use tool. Needless to say, I'm not going to be doing the use tool bit of the move. I'm just going to move through this yellow door here into the crew quarters, and I'm going to flip over these two tokens to see what they are. Um, we have a med kit, which I'm sure I'm going to find very, very useful. And we have you first, which, if there were multiple players in the game, would be potentially useful because it essentially allows you to make someone else or yourself the first target. As it is, as a solo player, that was pretty useless to me. But the med kit is useful. I'd like to pick up the med kit. However, at the moment, my pickup card is in my discard pile. But I very, very usefully have this card, which is my battery card. So as my next turn, I'm going to play my energy pills, my battery card, and that allows me to pick up two cards from my discard pile, so the two cards that I've so far used, take them back into my hand and immediately play one. So I'm immediately going to play pick up and creep, and I'm going to pick up the medkit, find it in the ship deck. It is card number 6. This is not a shuffled deck, it's just arranged in numerical order. And I then place this onto my ready tool slot, like so. And whilst the medkit is in my ready tool slot, I can play any of the icons that is in that top left-hand corner from the cards that I've got. So cargo always has cards that has a use tool icon. I can play that use tool icon to use the medkit when I need to use the medkit, which will be very, very useful if nasties start finding me. I think I'm going to do a little bit of running. So remember that memory of how to run through the ship? I'm going to play that now, which allows me to move 4. I move 1 into the crew corridor. I turn over the token. That token is a crowbar, which is useful, but it's not the most useful weapon in the game. So I'm going to carry on running. I run into the refectory. I turn over the memory in the refectory. That's jogged memories of hiding places. I'm not going to pick up that memory. I run one further into the ship's stores. I turn over that token and bump into a little nasty. Ooh, nasty. So, nasty number 4 has just turned up. This is a bug. There we go. This is a bug. It's got 2 hits in the top corner there, and when it follows its instincts, which is that there, it's going to move 3 towards the first target, which is always going to be me in a solo game, and will attack me. And the bug will do 2 hits. The way I know that the bug will do 2 hits is I look in the Xeno data log here, and I take a look at the entry for the bug, and the bug basically has 2 hits and it does 2 damage. So when the bug attacks me, it's going to do 2 damage, basically. So that bug is currently in the corner of the ship stores, and it's not yet noticed me. I've come running in. I can come to a screeching halt right now, and if I come to a screeching halt right now, that bug is not going to notice me until I've finished all of my crew actions and it takes its turn. The only way that that bug is going to pay attention to me during my turns is if I attack it and miss, or if I try to leave that room without creeping. If I creep out of the room, it doesn't notice me. If I move out of the room in any way, it does notice me. And I really would quite like to just keep going. I'm going to take a risk. And I'm going to, because I've got first aid kit on top of anything else, I'm going to keep running and I'm going to run into the secure locker that has the flamethrower in it. As I run into that secure locker, I have to flip over a nasty action card and see whether it hit me. And it does. The way the nasty action card works is you've got hitboxes at the top for big nasties and weapons, and hitboxes at the bottom for little nasties and your fists. And as you can see, red hits, blue misses. So essentially, it's hit me, and I now need to decide whether I'm going to try to mitigate those 2 hits of damage. I can, at this point, push my luck. I know that the deck has got 4 hits for Little Nasties. So at the moment, there are 5 misses and 3 hits left in the deck. And I can flip a card, see whether it hits or misses. If it hits, I add a hit to the damage I take. If it misses, I subtract a hit. I can keep on pushing my luck as long as it misses. The minute it hits, I have to stop. I'm going to push my luck. So I flip. Oh, it's another hit. I have to stop pushing my luck at that point, and I have to take 3 hits. Okay. And that's a very good demonstration of what I like. I like to say, I like to give you choice, but in giving you that choice, I give you enough rope to hang yourself with. And I've just demonstrated how I give myself enough rope to hang myself with. So, right, at this point, I have got to take 3 wounds. And my wounds are my action cards. And I basically have to place them here into my wounds tracker. And I can choose any of the cards that are in my hand, or I lose the top card of my deck or the top card of my discard pile. And I don't want to lose the top card of my discard pile, because the top card of my discard pile is that. It is my run card. And I would like to keep my run card if I can. But I also would like to keep these cards too. So I am going to lose the top card of my deck. So, first card is a fight action. And that slots into my rune tracker like so. Second card is a pick up and creep. That slots into my wound tracker. And the third card, shuttle pilot, which could be very, very useful to me later on, but is not massively useful to me right now. So these 3 are basically now in my wounds tracker. I've taken 3 wounds. I can take 7 wounds. The 8th wound kills me. But I do have the ability to use a medkit. The other thing that I can think about right now is I've just moved through a green door. And I can therefore opt, if I like, to basically shut that green door and shoot the bolt on it. If I shoot the bolt on that green door and then the nasty comes after me, the nasty basically has to break the door down rather than attacking me. And it's a free action to do. So to a certain extent, it's a no-brainer. I go in there, I basically bolt the green door behind me, and it's a free action to unbolt the door as well. So we can assume, for the sake of argument, that I'm currently hiding in a locker, scrabbling around, looking for a flamethrower. The problem I have with the whole scrabbling around looking for a flamethrower bit is that I've only got 2 used tool cards and a climbing to aircon card in my hand at the moment. I could opt to play 2 of those face down to pick the flamethrower up. But if I do that, I then no longer have the climb in and out of the aircon card ready for later on. So I'm actually going to opt to end my action round here. So at this point, the crew phase ends. And the crew phase having ended, we would then count up noise. The way noise would work in a multiplayer game is you would look at the amount of noise that all of your face-up discards have made. Red noise is the loudest, amber noise is the next loud, then there's yellow, then there's green. Everyone would look at their cards, whoever made the most red noise would be first target and would get this cute little first target, first player token. And that basically would say that this player is the player that all the nasties are basically zeroing in on. If there's a tie, there are ways of breaking the tie that I'm not going to bother going to right now. As it is, I'm the only player here, so I'm always the first target. And so at this point, I start cycling through nasties that are currently active in the active nasty area. And the way I do that is I flip a nasty action card, and this time round, I look at the AI section of the card. And the AI section of this card, which is the bottom section, which relates to the little nasty, says ignore any creature in this room and move towards the bridge at the front of the ship. If it had said follow instincts, like this particular card, the nasty would have zeroed in on me as the first target. As it is completely ignoring me, and it is deciding that it's going to head towards the bridge, which is the front of the ship. So it goes 1, 2, 3 towards the bridge, like so. That is the end of the nasty action round because there is only one nasty. At this point, timers tick down. I should have done this earlier, but anyway, I do it now. I basically replenish my hand back to 5, so I draw the last 2 cards that are in my deck at the moment. And at this point, I'm going to use this use tool action here. And I'm going to use this use tool action to activate the medkit, which allows me to heal 1 card of my own colour back into my hand. You'll notice it's back into my hand. But I then have to basically place a wound marker on the mat to say that I've used 1 of the 3 uses. So I take a wound marker, put the wound marker on the mat, I use tools to use the medkit, and I get to heal back 1 wound. And the wound that I'm going to heal is this, which is my pick up and creep card, because that will then allow me to pick up the flamethrower and use it. So, of course, because there's no other player, I now can play that pick up and creep card, and I can take the flamethrower. And I find the flamethrower in the ship deck. And now I have a choice. Basically, I either take the flamethrower and put it into my ready tool slot, or I keep my medkit in my ready tool slot. And I'm going to swap out the flamethrower for the medkit, and the medkit therefore goes face down onto my discard pile. It goes face down because it's not making any noise. And I therefore now have a flamethrower ready to use. And at this point, I can open that door as a free action and move out. And since there is no nasty in the way, I'm going to play this card. This card's got 2 possible actions to do. One is the you first action in the top left corner, and the other is the move to action. And I'm going to use it to move to, and I'm going to go 1, 2 out into the factory like so. At this point, do I keep going? Yes, I think I do. I'm now going to play this card here to use its move to action to go 1, 2 into the crew corridor and go to crew corridor aft like so. And at this point, I think I've decided I am going to play my climb into the vents card in order to go up into the vents. And I'm basically going to stick myself like so on that vent node. and I am now on that vent node. And when I climb into the vents, I have to flip a vents card and see what it is. And actually, what I've got here is the ship's pet alien, Little Nasty. So, scuttling towards you is the ship's pet alien, Little Nasty, who keeps the vents clear of feral cats. If you opt to take this card into your hand, you may shuffle it back into the vents deck to remove a scuttlebug from the same area as you, in the same area as you from the board. That is actually a very useful card. It's a hand clogger because it's got a hand clogging symbol on it. So if I decide to pick up Little Nasty and carry him with me, I can only draw back up to 4 cards rather than 5. But while Little Nasty is in my hand, I can release him to basically hunt down and eat a scuttlebug. And scuttlebugs are really, really nasty and dangerous. So I'm going to hold on to Little Nasty. So I've basically got the ship's pet alien. So you can now imagine me with the ship's pet alien tucked under one arm and flamethrower toted in the other. And at that point, I am going to stop. And red doors, if red doors are around, would close. We would check noise. I am, of course, the first target. All discards get turned face down. And I now shuffle my discard pile, turn it into my deck, and draw back 3 more cards because Little Nasty is blocking one of my 5 card slots. So I now have 4 cards to play with on the next turn. And now we basically see what the one Little Nasty that is currently out is going to do. And we flip a card, and it's going to follow its instincts, which basically means that it is going to head towards me. And it's going to take the fastest route that it can possibly take, which in this case is going up into the vents and going 1, 2, 3 straight towards me. It gets to me and it's going to attack me. It flips a nasty action card and ha! It misses. Hurrah! I need to just double check that there are no R for reshuffles in this deck. There are no R for reshuffles. So this deck at the moment has not reshuffled, which is interesting because there are 3 hits out and 2 misses. There's only 1 Little Nasty hit left in that deck, but the likelihood is that that deck's going to reshuffle before I can really take advantage of it. Well, mind you, I could take advantage of it now. Okay, right, anyway. The counters tick down, and before the counters tick down, I had to check the aircon, which basically means that I check the aircon that is closest to the first target, which is the aircon node that I happen to be in. I turn over an aircon card. If that aircon card had been a Little Nasty, it would have appeared on the board. As it is, it's just a Vents card. That Vents card basically gets placed at the bottom of the deck, like so. Okay, we are now into the next turn, and it is time for me to decide what I want to do. Right, I'm in an interesting position here. I am basically in this vent with this Little Nasty. I could creep out of that vent without that nasty noticing me, which is not necessarily a bad idea because that nasty is a grey nasty. It's not a blue nasty. So I don't actually care whether I kill it or not. I mean, it'd be nice if it was dead because at that point it wouldn't be attacking me. But I am going to creep, I think, into there, turn over events card, and it is a vents card, which I'm allowed to take into my hand, and I shuffle it back into the deck when I climb into or out of the vents using that card. Okay, at which point I am going to shuffle it back into the deck because I'm about to climb out of the vents into cargo control, like so. And having got into cargo control, I just basically want to keep on moving, don't I? I'm going to play this card for its move to icons, and I'm going to go 1, 2 through those airlocks there. Each of these airlocks basically has a single double-headed arrow, so basically means it needs a move 1 to get through. So I am now in the back of the ship, and the back of the ship is dark. This means that at the start of the crew phase, not right now, but at the start of the crew phase, if I haven't found an independent light source, then I am going to be discarding one of the cards from my hand because I'm fumbling around in the dark. There are independent light sources that can be found in the back of the ship, and there are also EVA suits in the EVA suit locker. I've decided not to go for the EVA suits because I want to move fast, and EVA suits are a bit cumbersome and make me move slower. I have also just moved into an area that has a token on it, so I turn the token over. Oh no, that wasn't good. This is a web trap. I place a spider bug onto the card, and anything that moves into this room, which I have just done, must stop and flip a nasty action card. This could be nasty. So I flip this card. Ah, 2 blues. You beauty. So I avoid the web. There is an R for reshuffle. So I now reshuffle these cards back into the deck, and that resets the deck so I can no longer count the cards. So I don't know what cards there are around. And there is a spider bug currently still lurking in the web, but it hasn't been attracted towards me. Excuse me while I just quickly find a spider bug. Spider bug, spider bug. There we go. Okay. So, the web trap triggers when you enter, not when you exit. It says that on the card. So I can keep moving. And I think keeping moving is not necessarily a bad idea. I am going to play this move 2 card to move 2, 1, 2 down the corridor. I turn over this token, and this token is not a nice token. That token is token number 27, which is slime. Slime is not good. Whenever static nasties move, this slime is going to spread 1 in every direction. It's only got 1 hit, but that 1 hit has to be administered by a fire extinguisher. That's what that frozen symbol means, basically. And when it moves, the room it's left develops a hull breach. And I'll explain hull breaches when the slime starts developing hull breaches. If you end your move in slime, and I have just ended my move in slime, you take 1 hit, and that hit eats through any armor that you might be wearing. So if I was wearing a EVA suit, I would actually take a hit through that EVA suit. The EVA suit's auto seals would then kick in, so the EVA suit could still act as an EVA suit because otherwise it just gets way too complicated. But slime does hits through armor. So I've just taken another wound. Oh joy! Okay, I'm going to lose the top card of my discard pile at this point because it's not the most useful card in the world. So I'm back to 3 wounds basically, and I think I need to keep moving. So I will move 1 to there, which is using that card. And at that point, I have to stop, basically. because I have no other cards. So at this point, I still, of course, am first target. I draw back 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. Interestingly, I've just picked up my med kit. I might actually decide that I'm going to switch to the med kit in a minute. We'll see. And now let's see what the nasties do. So we are basically going from the first nasty that appeared, going across. This little nasty draws a card. It follows its instincts. Its instincts are basically to head towards me. So it goes 1, 2. It cannot get through the airlock. It attacks the airlock. It hits the airlock. It breaks down the airlock. And I place a broken door marker across that airlock. That airlock is now useless as an airlock, which is not good. The web trap, that spider bug, is still sitting on the web, which means that it's not doing anything at the moment. It was not activated, so it stays there. And then the slime's not going to spread for another 2 turns, basically. I need to start worrying about the fact that I haven't found any nasties in the aircon right now, because I've got 3 turns to find a blue nasty in the aircon and kill it, basically. So I think I am therefore going to climb up into the aircon. And I'm lucky enough to have got my climb into the aircon card out. So those go face down, that goes on top, and I basically can climb up into that aircon vent there, turn over an aircon card, and Spybot has just turned up. A little Spybot scuttles out of around the corner into that node, pauses, sees me, and starts recording. And at that point, I realise that the company is remotely recording everything that's going on this ship. So if my agenda was to find smoking gun evidence that the company are being complete shits, then going after the Spybot might be a good idea. As it is, killing the Spybot does nothing for me at all. At which point I might as well ignore L Spybot. Right, let's do that. I'm going to play my batteries card again. I can go through any cards in my discard pile, including the ones that are face down. So I'm going to take back a move and use tools, which is quite useful. And I'm going to take back a pick up. No, I need engineering at some point, don't I? So let's actually take back that engineering, and then I have to play one of those, and I will play move and use tools. I will move 1 into the next vent node, and I have turned over a little nasty, a blue nasty, and that blue nasty just happens to be a scuttlebug. Remember what I can do with a scuttlebug? With a scuttlebug, I can release little nasty upon the little nasty. And little nasty eats up the scuttlebug, and little nasty then scuttles back into the air vents and gets shuffled back into the vent stack. And that has killed the one blue nasty that I, as a solo player, have to do in order to deal with this particular protocol. I have killed one blue nasty, so that protocol is shut down. That's the good news. The bad news is every time you shut down a protocol, you spawn a big nasty. And the big nasty that has been spawned is, oh my dear God, the monster bug. This little critter, or big critter, has 8 hits, and it also subtracts 1 from every hit that I do to it. So if I torch it with my flamethrower could do 4 hits. That would go down to 3. If I try and punch it, my fists bounce off because my fists do 1 minus 1. Basically, when it follows its instincts, it will move 5 towards me, and if it gets to me, it will then attack me for 5 minus 1 for every space room it's moved through in order to get to me. This is a nasty, and it looks like this. And it is going to appear on whatever gold number in the back of the ship, because I closed down the protocol when I was in the back of the ship. That turns up on this card. So, oops, wrong. There we go. My apologies, wrong deck. Number 3. So it is going to turn up in room number 3 on the back of the ship, which is engine 3. Oh joy! It has just turned up in engine 3 at a point where I need to get to engine number 4. This could be interesting. Okay, that makes life very interesting. This thing basically attacks for 5 minus 1 for everything it's moved through to get to me. So at the moment, if it was going to come from me now, it would go 1, 2, 3. It would attack for 5 minus 3. It would do 2 damage to me if I was here. So I want to be as far away from it as I possibly can. And to a certain extent, I want to lure it away from that engine room so that I can then get into that engine room and deal with that engine room. So I am going to use my batteries, haven't I? Oh, this is tough. I think I'm better off going that way. So I am going to use this card. I'm going to use the move 2 portion of this card to move through the vents. Because I'm crawling through the vents, I can only move 1 regardless of what card I play. I'm crawling through the vents, so I draw a vent card and oh, it's another Scuttlebug. This could get nasty quite quickly. So that Scuttlebug is basically also in the active nasty area. The active nasty area is starting to get a little bit crowded now. And yeah, this could be very nasty. See, at this point, I think I have to stop. Okay. Here's my dilemma. Here is a very, very big, very, very nasty right next to the thing that I need to shut down in order to be able to essentially not die, basically. But if I go there and it gets to me, it's going to be doing a hell of a lot of damage to me, is all I can say. Here is a little nasty bug that has been chasing me through the ship since I was on the other side of the ship there. And here, sitting right next to me, though it hasn't quite noticed me yet, is a very nasty little scuttlebug, which, if it hits me, is going to burrow into my stomach and eat me from the inside out. I don't have a jump out of aircon card. I could play these 2 cards face down to jump out of the aircon. If I do, that thing's going to go for me. And that puts me close to the bug that's there as well. I am quite some way away from the monster bug, though interestingly the monster bug can get into the vents there, and yes, the monster bug can go through the vents. I think I have to pause. I think I have to stop there. I think right now, imagine me pressed against the vents, the wall of the vents, looking at this little scuttlebug just nosing past me, not having quite noticed that I'm there, and hoping that this thing isn't basically going to come after me as well. So at this point, I stop. We check. Big nasties and little nasties are going to move this time around. Oh no! Ha ha ha! Ha ha! Well, I'm not entirely sure that is a good thing, but I'm going to show you what it is anyway. On this particular turn, this is the tracker that is tracking what nasties do, because you always basically use the tracker with the larger number. Only little nasties are going to move in this turn. So these two are going to move, but the monster bug is not going to move. The reason that I say that's not necessarily a great thing, and I should have actually been aware of that, is, yeah, okay. I should probably have done something different, but I've done it now, so I'm going to have to live with it. Okay, right. So let's see. First of all, I draw back to. I can now draw back to 5, and now starting with the first nasty that appeared, it follows its instincts. It goes 1, 2, 3, climbs up into the events and attacks me. It does not get affected by the web, because the web is a bug's web, and bugs do not affect other bugs. Bugs do not attack other bugs. Bugs do not affect other bugs. So it knows how to find its way through the web, basically. So it's just climbed up into there and is going to attack me. Let's just double check that we don't have any reshuffle icons. We do not have any reshuffle icons, so I draw and it hits, and that is a reshuffle icon, which basically means that all those lovely hits that have been taken out of the deck suddenly get shuffled back into the deck, and I have to decide whether I'm going to push my luck to try and take that down to 1, or whether I'm going to take 2 hits. This could be very, 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 very nasty. I've got 3 hits. I've 4 more hits, and then I die, basically. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to push my luck. I think pushing my luck right now would be a very, very bad thing to do. Which means I've got to take 2 hits. I've actually got a really useful hand of cards in my hand at the moment. So I'm going to risk it, and I'm going to draw 2 cards. Oh, bugger. Okay. Well, it is what it is. Those are the 2 cards that are going into my wounds tracker. I have so far lost my ability to pop energy pills and get back cards from my discard, and I've lost one of my used tool cards as well. That's not good. That's really, really not good. Now, I can heal it back using Make Kit. I can also spend a turn swapping 1 card for another if I want to. Just basically waste the turn to swap 1 card for another, which might not necessarily be a bad thing to do at this stage. Okay. Right, that was the first of many nasties. The web trap is not going to do anything. The slime is not going to do anything. The spybot flips a card, ignores any creature in this room, and moves towards the bridge, which is at the front of the ship. The spybot basically moves 1, so moving towards the bridge, it basically splashes its way through. Ooh, if it splashes its way through the acid, the slime, it's going to get acidified, isn't it? It acts like a little nasty, so it will avoid something that would kill it. So it's basically moving through the vents like so. Um, the monster bug is not moving because only little nasties move this time round. That horrible little gribbly, the scuttlebug, attacks the noisiest creature in this room. It's going for me. This could be very, very, very bad indeed. This could be, yeah, game over, man. This could be game over. It missed. It missed. It missed. If that had hit me, I've only got 2 hits left. It burrows into my stomach, and every time I take an action, it eats me from the inside out, doing 1 hit. Now I can stave it off by basically popping med pills, but I can only stave it off for 2 turns. Somewhere in the back of this ship, there is, in one of the cargo bays, maybe in one of the military cargo bays, there is a military surgery kit that I could use to dig it out. But there's no guarantee that it is one of those 2 cards. There are 3 cargo cards in each colour. So, the surgery kit may not even be in this cargo. Oh, I was lucky. I was very, very lucky. Right. So, time to get out of dodge. The first thing I am therefore going to do is I am going to creep very, very slowly in that direction like so. I am then going to I need to flip a vents card. That is a drop out of vents card, which is quite useful. It is actually very useful because it therefore allows me to use this vents memory for its movement action rather than climbing out of the vents. And I'm going to move back in that direction. Flip another vents card. Oh, Little Nasty's just popped up again. I can use Little Nasty to deal with that scuttler if that scuttler ever gets too close to me, which is a good thing. At this point, I am going to drop out of the vents, and I drop into there, and I realise that I've just forgotten that I'm in the dark, and I therefore needed to have discarded a card at the start of the turn, which is a pain. So I will discard that card, which should have been discarded at the start of the turn. Right. Okay. So at this point, the last thing I'm going to do is I am going to play my run card to move 2 into the airlock, or move 1 into the airlock, in fact. Um, oh, oh, no, I've done it now. Okay, that's where I'm at. Okay, done it now. Yep, so I'm in the airlock. I'm not using. Actually, maybe I am. Yeah, maybe I really am. Right. Okay. The reason I paused is choices. Always choices, never good ones. I'm here, right? This airlock is the safest place on the ship right now. If I'm in the airlock, whatever comes for me has to break the airlock down. Little nasties actually have to attack it. The big nasty will automatically break the door down. But in automatically breaking the door down, the big nasty attacks the door. It doesn't attack me. So the airlock is safe, right? Big nasty's here. It's probably going to come. It's probably going to knock the door down. If I move here, I flip that token over. That token could be good. It could also be bad. And as you've probably already noticed, the back of the ship is very, very bad. So I don't want at this point to take the risk that that is something that I can't deal with the lack of cards I have in my hand at the moment. So the safest place I can be right now is sitting in this airlock, cowering in the airlock, hoping that the nasties don't come for me. And that's where I am going to end this particular turn. All nasties are going to move and the slime is going to spread. Slime spreading, that's not a good thing. So, once again, we're into nasty actions, and once again, it's this little nasty that goes first, and this little nasty ignores any creature in the room it's in and moves towards engineering. So, engineering is the back of the ship, so it basically goes 1, 2, drops out of the aircon node there, 3, heading towards engineering, which means that it's right in the way of where I need to get in terms of engines. This is not going well, people. This is really not going well. The spider bug basically still sits in its web and does nothing. The acid does, or rather, sorry, the slime does move because we are in an all nasties move action. So nasties with the static nasty icon, which that has got, move. It now spreads, and it spreads in every direction it can, which is there and there, and it leaves behind a hull breach. Right. Hull breaches. If hull breaches are not sealed, they basically spread. There are 8 hull breach tokens in the game. When the 8th hull breach token is placed and you need to place a 9th one, whichever part of the ship has got the most hull breaches in it loses its structural integrity and collapses. So I need to shut that hull breach down. I need to shut that hull breach down. I also need to stop the engine from blowing up, and I also need to find the contraband in the cargo bay, and not get killed by everything that's on this ship. This could be fun for a given value of fun. Okay, so the the slime has moved. Okay, the spybot follows its instincts, which basically means it takes a photograph. Oh, hold on a minute. Does it follow instincts? Reshuffle this card into the deck. Okay, so the spybot has just disappeared back into the vents deck. This time round, all nasties are moving, so the big nasty moves. The big nasty moves to attack the nearest target to this room, ignoring silent crew. So it is moving to attack the nearest target. I am the nearest target. It goes 1, 2, attacks the door, destroys the door because it's a big nasty, and big nasties automatically destroy doors. It has broken down that airlock door like so. It is in the airlock with me, but because it's attacked the door, it doesn't attack me. Okay. And then the scuttlebug pauses and does nothing. And because there were reshuffle icons in that drawer, I now reshuffle the nasty action deck. Okay. Everything ticks down. I have 4 game turn cycles in which to basically do everything that I need to do. To a certain extent, I think I'm going to ignore the hull breach. And the reason I'm going to ignore the hull breach is, well, to be perfectly honest, hull breaches do not spread through closed airlocks because that's what airlocks are there for. So it's not going to spread that way. It's spreading that way. So it's going to spread to here. Okay. And then it's going to spread further. The big issue that I have is if it spreads to here, then it's going to be blocking my route back towards the cargo shuttle. But I'll worry about solving that problem later. At this point, you might ask, why don't you just basically get out of Dodge anyway? Find the contraband and run away. And the reason I can't do that is because this is the abandoned ship protocol. And the abandoned ship protocol is only triggered when I shut down the last of the emergency protocols. So I am not allowed to abandon ship until I've shut down this protocol, until I've fixed the engine and stopped it from potentially blowing up the ship. The ship won't let me leave. It just locks all of the escape vehicles. Okay, well, right now, my first big problem is I'm currently sitting inside an airlock with something very, very big and very, very nasty. So I am going to play Creep. Before that, I'm still in darkness. The engineering is the only pool of light in this entire back of the ship. Everywhere else is dark, and I still don't have an independent light source. So I have to discard a card, which is not good because I really don't want to discard any of these cards. Oh, I really need to creep. I need to creep out of there. I really need that engineering action because I need that engineering action to shut that engine down. I could discard run at this point. I don't want to discard my med kit because I kind of need the med kit. And I can't discard the scuttlebug because it's got a hand clogging icon. So, choices. None of them good. At this point, I think I am going to discard the run action because I certainly don't want to run out of here because if I do, it'll kill me. And I've only got 2 hits left, so trying to run past that bug is not necessarily the most sensible of moves either. So I've discarded the run action. That is discarded face down because it's not making any noise. And so I'll play this creep card to basically creep out of this room, somehow sneaking between the legs of the monster bug as it moves around looking for me, into this room. I flip this room over, and that is token number 25. That's interesting. Token number 25 is... Ha ha! Token number 25. Token number 25 is the junction box. So this gets placed into the active nasty area, and I can take a use tools or engineering action to switch on the lights, basically. And when I switch on the lights, I take a yellow token. Where are the yellow tokens gone? There. I take a yellow token and I put the yellow token onto the junction box, and I can switch the lights on. And I think switching the lights on right now is a good idea. So I am actually going to... Oh, I've just seen an issue here. This is not good. Okay, right now, I'm not going to take the engineering action. Right now, I am going to move into the EVA suit locker. And I'm going to bolt the green door of the EVA suit locker behind me. I really need this card out of my wound tracker. I really need to be able to recycle the discards in my discard pile. So I pause at this point. I draw back 3 cards. Big and little nasties are going to move this time round. And therefore we start with that little nasty there. That little nasty there follows its instincts. It comes towards me and it attacks the door. Here is where I really, really hope that this is not a hit. I do not want this nasty to break this door down. I actually stand a chance of surviving now. Because it hasn't broken the door down, the big nasty has to break the door down, basically. The spider bug is still basically sitting in its web. The slime will not spread, but it will spread next time round. The monster bug moves to attack the nearest targets to this room, ignoring silent crew. So it basically comes here and breaks down that green door and comes into the EVA suit locker. And it is in the EVA suit locker with me, but because it attacked the door, it doesn't attack me. And then the little Gribbly follows its instincts and starts heading in my direction. And the junction box is just sitting there as a quiescent junction box. Okay, so I am allowed at any point to spend an action swapping a card of my colour with another card of my colour that's in my wound tracker to get the card I want back. So I am swapping this creep card with this energy pills card. And so creep goes there like so, and I get my energy pills back. At this point, I can now play my energy pills to draw back 2 cards from my discard and play one of them. And I will draw those 2 and I will play creep, surprise, surprise, and I will creep out into engineering like so. Oh, this is going to be tight. I will then play this engineering card here to turn the lights on. And it has occurred to me that I should have discarded a card because I didn't turn the lights on before. So that's that gone. Which means that at that point, I am then going to play this card to oh. This is really not good. It could have been nice knowing you. I have to risk being hit by that thing to get to here to be able to do what is necessary to frankly not lose this game. All right. I think I need to dial back. I'm going to dial back a couple of cards. I am not going to turn the lights on because I think I actually need. I could be about to die here. Quite simply, I could be about to die here, but I think I'm just going to go for it. Okay, so at this point, I am playing this card here to move 2, 1, 2 into engine room 4, which is where I need to be in order to shut down the power down protocol. As I leave the room, this little nasty goes for me. Oh, there's a reshuffle in that deck, so I need to reshuffle the deck before I draw this card. Ooh, it missed. I flip this over. That is token number 21. Token number 21 is a cargo rig, which could come in useful, but not right now. I keep moving. I move 2. I'm in the engine room. I can now play this engineering action to shut down that protocol. That protocol shuts down. So the ship is now not going to kill me. 2 things now happen. The first is this big nasty appears. Oh. This is the gargoyle. And what the gargoyle does is it's got stone skin. It's only got 2 hits, but every time you hit it, its stone skin immediately hardens to stone, and it only ever takes 1 damage. You can't push your luck against it. You can't do any more than 1 damage to it. If you threaten it by putting a fist into your defense area, and we haven't really talked about defense areas, but anyway, if you threaten it and you put a fist into your active defense area, it invokes stone skin and it cannot move whilst you are in the room with a fist up. It also will invoke stone skin if any nasties are in the room with it. Otherwise, it's going to move 3 towards the first target, and it's going to attack to leech from the first thing it encounters. And when it leeches a wound that you cannot heal back, and that gives it an extra hit. So it becomes more powerful, and you or other things around it become less powerful. The only good thing about this monster is that while it's around, it can attack other monsters. It is not a bug. So I'm going to use this token because this is actually a stretch goal nasty that hasn't yet actually been activated in the game. But we hope that it will be soon. And, oops, wrong card there. It's going to turn up in room number 1. So it has popped up in the engine rooms there, like so. Okay, so that's the first thing that happened. The second thing that happened is because we've shut down the last emergency protocol, the abandoned ship protocol goes off. And what the abandoned ship protocol does is it resets the countdown to 5, and it now releases the escape vehicles. So you can now use the escape vehicles to get out of Dodge. The only way in a solo game that you can use the escape vehicle is by fulfilling your agenda. I have to find the contraband in the cargo bay. Having found the contraband in the cargo bay, I have to release the cargo bay. Having released the cargo bay, I then have to get to the cargo shuttle. And having got to the cargo shuttle, I can take off in the cargo shuttle and escape. This is going to be really, really hard. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't think I'm going to survive this. But let's see. Okay, right. So, whilst the cargo shuttle's not being used, I'm just going to put the nasty action deck there so that we can see what's going on. And the little bug moves to attack the nearest target to its room. So this bug goes for me and misses. Yes, we have a reshuffle as well. So we reshuffle this deck, and we are in an all nasties move situation now. So that spider bug is still basically sitting in its web, not having been activated. The slime automatically spreads. So this slime basically moves like so into this area here, and there is another hull breach opened up there. Oh, and I've been forgetting to do the hull breaches, haven't I? Ooh. That would be 1, 2. Okay, so that's hull breach. Excuse me a minute while I sort some things out. Yeah, the hull breaches should have been spreading, and I've completely forgotten to spread the hull breaches because I've been explaining things as I go along. So yeah, okay. The good news is that the web, along with its spider bug, got sucked out into space when the hull breach opened up. The bad news is that a hull breach has opened up at the area where I basically need to get off the ship. I can get off the ship another way, which is just as well. But yeah. Those hull breaches shouldn't be there because it's end of each cycle, isn't it? Yeah, okay. So it gets harder every minute. Okay. So the slime has moved. The big nasty follows his instincts. He goes 1, 2, 3. He is going to attack me for 2. I can just about survive 2. That's all I can survive. He hits me. I take 2 damage. I have to lose 2 wounds. I should have reshuffled my deck before I took the damage. So let's reshuffle these cards, see what we've got. To be perfectly frank with you, I don't think I'm going to be discarding any cards from my hand unless... Mind you, I think I need that. So I'm going to have to discard that card, which is a creep card, and that card, which is a Vents card, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have taken 7 wounds. I really cannot afford to take any more wounds, which is a bit of a bugger. Yeah. I could really do with a pickup as well, but that's, yeah. That right now is the least of my worries. Okay, right. So the little scuttlebug moves to attack the nearest creature to this room, so it heads towards me. The junction box is the junction box, and then the gargoyle moves to attack the nearest target to this room, ignoring silent crew. So it basically goes 1, 2, 3, does not reach the big nasty, but is now essentially in my way. Oh, none of this is good. Absolutely none of this is good. Okay. My turn. probably my last turn, if I'm absolutely honest with you, because I'm basically surrounded by nasty, horrible gribblies, and I've got the ability to play 2 cards to creep out of nasty, horrible, gribbly area number 1, and then I can play these cards to essentially um, draw back the other cards. And yeah, it's horrible, 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 horrible. Right, okay, let's go for it. So, 2 cards face down. I play 2 cards face down. I take the noise of the action that I am going to use those 2 cards for, which is a green noise card because I'm going to use it to creep. I creep out of that room into this room here. And at that point, these creatures do not attack me because I've managed to sneak out of the room. Right now, the only thing I can do is play this card here to essentially get these 2 cards back. So I get these 2 cards back, and I have to play one of them, and both of them are going to make noise. That's an interesting idea. Cargo rig. Do I get into the cargo rig? Cargo rig. Cargo rig. Move 1 and attack with both hitboxes for 2 damage each, or jettison an adjacent cargo bay, subtracts 1 from any damage taken, can only use in vacuum if wearing an EVA suit. You know what? I'm going to play both of these 2 cards face down to do a pickup action again. Not that I really need to put that noise there. We all know that I'm the one who's making noise. And I am going to put on the cargo rig. I discard my flamethrower, which you'll notice I've never actually used. I discard my flamethrower face down onto my discard pile because it's not making any noise. I am now in a cargo rig. That gives me a slight and only very, very slight advantage. But frankly, it's not going to be enough. Right, let's do it. Let's see whether I can survive one last turn. I doubt it very much, to be perfectly honest with you, but we'll see. Okay, so we have a reshuffle, so we need to reshuffle these before we do anything. The bug. The bug pauses and does nothing. Hurrah! Pause and do nothing. I do not reshuffle this card until this deck becomes a combat deck. You reshuffle the combat deck, you do not reshuffle any of the other decks. The slime does nothing, but we're at the end of the cycle, so the hull breach spreads. The hull breach spreads into these 2 areas here. It does not spread through this airlock because airlocks basically block hull breaches. But we are up to 5 hull breaches. This entire bit of the ship is going to fall apart pretty soon. I'm doomed in so many ways. I really am. But anyway, we keep going. We push on. So, the monster bug. The monster bug follows its instincts. The monster bug therefore moves into the area with me and will attack me for 5 minus 1 for moving 1 and minus another 1 because I'm currently sitting in a cargo rig which gives me 1 armor. And it missed. It missed. Of course, this is really just prolonging the agony, but hey, what the hell. Then the little nasty. Now, this is interesting. The little nasty, the scuttlebug, it follows its instincts. It drops into there like so. I have the scuttlebug. I have little nasty, which eats scuttlebugs. There's an edge case in the rules here. The rules do not really specify when you can play this card, but there is a line in the front of the rules which basically says, if in doubt, ask yourself what would happen in the movies and do it that way. And I don't know about you, but right now, what would happen in this movie is that this little critter would leap out of my arms and go for that scuttlebug. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let this little nasty eat the scuttlebug because I think that's what would happen at this point in the movie. So, Little Nasty has just rescued me from the scuttlebug. And we then have the gargoyle. And the gargoyle does not have a fist icon marking it as stone skinned and has not been attacked by the monster bug. So it is currently not stone skinned. Therefore, it activates. It goes for me. It automatically leeches a card from me because that's the way this thing works. And I'm going to let it leech. Oh! Game over. Game over. That just leached a card from me. As it leeches the card from me, that's my 8th hit. I just died. There you have it, peeps. That, in a nutshell, is Pandora Celeste. You can see the solo game is not easy. It really isn't. It's designed not to be easy. You kind of have to maximize your potential rather more than I managed to maximize my potential. I just ended up running around in circles here, just failing dismally to do anything. But that there is the solo game of Pandora Celeste. Had I survived a little while longer, the hull breach would have continued to spread, destroying the back of the ship. I reckon I basically had two more game turns. I had 2 more game turns to investigate probably that cargo bay there. Had I been able to get through here, investigate that cargo bay there, and then basically get an EVA suit, get out the back of the ship, and then go round the exterior of the ship to the cargo shuttle. But, I wasted way too much time before getting to that. So, yeah. I hope you have enjoyed this playthrough. I hope this playthrough has shown you how the game works. I hope this playthrough has shown you that the game is not an easy game, but is actually quite a fun game. And there are just, those moments, Little Nasty rescuing me from the scuttlebug. That would have been great if I hadn't then been taken out by that thing. This, by the way, attacked me rather than attacking the big nasty because it will always attack crew before it attacks nasties. If I hadn't been there, it would have attacked the big nasty, which would have been quite useful for me. As it is, I am toast. Thank you for watching, peeps. I hope you enjoyed what you saw. And please, if you did, do back us on GameFound. Everything you see here comes for £70, approximately $90. And the extra big nasties come as stretch goals. So the more of you back, the more big nasties you get in this game and the more replayability you get. Thanks ever so much, peeps. Bye-bye.